Good morning. Welcome to the WEX Wakeup for Friday, October 27th. I'm Christy Matino. Multiple people are dead after that mass shooting in Lewiston, Maine, with 40-year-old Robert Card identified as the top person of interest. White House correspondent Hasten Willis tells us that President Biden, as he's done following similar incidents, says limiting access to guns will prevent further violence.
Both political parties are reverting to type in the wake of the mass shooting in Maine, which for the Biden White House means calling for greater gun control measures.
Speaker Johnson's voting record shows that he is strongly opposed to gun safety legislation. Even when Democrats controlled Congress, they could not pass the universal background checks or the assault weapons ban. So what realistically can get done with the speaker? How can a deal around this be cut?
Look, I hear the question. I mean, look what just happened last night. Look what happened. In Maine, in a small community, I think about 30,000 people, and clearly, the gunman is still at large. And so it's a dynamic situation on the ground. But as far as we know, 18 people were killed. And we should not have weapons of war in our communities, in our schools, and anywhere in our communities. And this is an epidemic. This is a gun violence epidemic.
Republicans, on the other hand, are saying the issue is about mental health, with presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy calling specifically to bring back mental institutions. I'm Hasten Willis for the Washington Examiner.
And House Speaker Mike Johnson had his first interview in his new role. He discussed problematic representatives and his disagreements with the Biden administration. In the 40-minute interview, Johnson avoided discussing censuring or expelling representatives, instead pointing out the position that Congress is currently in, saying Republicans only have a 4-seat majority. He also discussed Biden, saying he believes he's a failed president, also commenting on the investigation into his son, Hunter.
As my good brother Jamie Comer often says, the bank records don't lie. So we have the receipts on so much of this now. It's a real problem. That's the reason that we shifted into the impeachment inquiry stage on the president himself, because if in fact all the evidence leads to where we believe it will, that's very likely impeachable offenses.
When asked how he will maintain a majority with division within his own party, Johnson says he's holding the power by a thread, but says he aims to focus on truth, transparency, and relationships. And the U.S. military conducted strikes in eastern Syria targeting 2 facilities used by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps on Thursday. The strikes, which had been approved by President Biden, come in response to a series of recent attacks against U.S. troops in Syria and Iraq that were carried out by Iranian proxy forces in the Middle East. One targeted a weapons storage area, and the other was an ammunition storage area. But some Republicans across the aisle don't necessarily agree with Biden's plans. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis discussed what his strategy would be as president.
Clearly, we have an interest with the hostages that are there, some of whom are American, and I would work with Israel to be able to recover those folks. And I'm not sure what Biden's using those people for. I do know he's got people in Iraq and Syria who are being targeted by Iran. They're kind of just sitting ducks. I'm not sure that that's the best policy either.
Thanks so much for joining us this morning on the WEX Wake Up. Be sure to give us a follow on social media so you stay in the know of all those headlines trending in politics.